Welcome to The Explainer. Artificial intelligence is completely reshaping our world, and for a country like India, it is a truly massive opportunity. Today, we're going to break down India's new AI governance guidelines, which is basically their game plan for navigating one of the biggest tech shifts of our time. So, right at the heart of India's whole AI strategy is this fundamental tension, right? How do you grab all of AI's incredible potential to fuel massive national goals, like becoming a developed nation by 2047, while at the same time managing its very real and, let's be honest, kind of scary risks? All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll look at India's big picture vision, get into its unique philosophy, see how it stacks up globally, and then really dig into what this all means on the ground. First things first, let's just appreciate the sheer scale we're talking about here. The main goal of the India AI mission is to democratize AI. That means making its benefits accessible and inclusive for well over 1 billion people and using it to power the nation's most ambitious goals. Okay, this brings us to the absolute core idea of these new guidelines, and it's a really important distinction they're making. This isn't just about writing a bunch of new rules, it's about a whole way of thinking. And this quote from the committee's chairman says it all. The choice of words here is so deliberate. Calling it governance instead of regulation isn't just jargon. It signals everything about their approach. It's about guidance and enabling growth, not just about control. So, what does governance really mean here? Well, you can think of it as a mission with two equal parts. On one hand, you're pushing innovation forward, you're encouraging everyone to adopt AI. But on the other hand, you're doing it safely and responsibly by keeping a very close eye on the risks. And this chart just illustrates that balance perfectly. The whole framework is built on 6 main pillars. And look at that. It's split right down the middle 50-50. Half are all about fueling AI's growth, and the other half are dedicated to managing the risks that come with it. So how does this balanced middle path approach actually fit into the global conversation about AI? Let's take a look and see how India is positioning itself on the world stage. The committee made a very conscious choice to avoid the two extremes. You've got the EU's pretty heavy-handed approach with lots of regulations that can sometimes slow things down. Then you have the other side, which is more of a free-for-all. India's goal is to do both, to really push for innovation while having a flexible system to deal with risks as they pop up. And this is just so crucial. Think about it. A heavy, one-size-fits-all set of rules could absolutely crush the small companies and startups, the very innovators that India needs to get AI out to the villages and towns, to that last mile. And that's the key, right? These guidelines are not a copy-paste job from somewhere else. They have been designed from the ground up with India's unique social and economic realities in mind. The framework calls for what they call a whole-of-government approach. That means getting all the different ministries involved to tackle uniquely Indian challenges, like its incredible language diversity, the digital divide, and making sure AI helps close gaps in society, not make them wider. But a plan on paper is one thing, right? How does this all actually turn into action, especially since it's not a legally binding law? So the strategy has 3 main parts. First, they're going to use and update existing laws in specific sectors like finance and healthcare. Second, they're encouraging the industry itself to step up and create its own safety playbooks. And third, they're building a new, nimble governance structure to keep a constant watch on this rapidly changing tech. A huge focus of all this risk management is zeroing in on protecting vulnerable groups from some very specific emerging harms that are a real concern in the Indian context. For instance, the guidelines are very clear about the urgent need to fight AI-driven threats like deepfakes and other non-consensual content that targets women. They also shine a spotlight on the potential for manipulative chatbots to harm children. These aren't just abstract problems, they're real, immediate dangers. So this brings us to one last really important question. With all these risks we've talked about, why not just pass a big, comprehensive AI law right now? Well, the answer is pretty simple. The technology is just moving way too fast. I mean, look at this timeline. A law that's passed today could be totally outdated in 6 months. We've gone from basic AI concepts to generative AI that can create things, and next on the horizon is agentic AI, systems that can act all on their own. A rigid law just can't keep up. So the approach has to be agile. The number one priority right now is to let innovation flourish. But, and this is a big but, Those new governance bodies will be watching everything, and they'll be ready to tell the government if and when a more formal law is actually needed. And that leaves us with the big question. Looking forward, India has chosen this flexible, balanced middle path. But in the global race to govern AI, the ultimate test is going to be whether this agility is enough to keep pace with the technology that is constantly and dramatically redefining what is possible.